you believe me, Mac?
Of course I believe you.
Still think I've met him, don't you, Mac?
Did I say that? I don't believe I did.
I didn't say you said it. I said you're thinking it. I know your mind.
My mind is thinking maybe roast beef, wild rice, and perhaps a good salad.
You mean you really believe me?
Of course I do.
How could you possibly believe me?
If the situation were reversed, wouldn't you believe me? If a strange woman wrote a composition and named it after me and sent me flowers and invited us to dinner and I said I didn't know her and never met her, well, what would you think?
You know exactly what I'd think. No wonder I'm riddled with guilt. Completely innocent and riddled with guilt. Listen, Mac. Do you suppose that's blues for Sally M?
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize you've been ringing the buzzer through what might be my song?
Well, that's because we're here for dinner, and I'm hungry. Sims? 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 Call an ambulance, Sally.
Operator, get an ambulance to 604 North Lombard, apartment 1203.
How is he?
He's unconscious, but his pulse is regular.
Sally?
In here, Mac. Mac, look at this. Why would he keep it?
Was the scrapbook open?
Just like this.
Maybe that's what he was reading when he was attacked.
But I've never known anybody to keep a scrapbook of bad reviews.
Peter Warlock. Isn't he the critic you read to every Wednesday?
Mm-hmm. He certainly never had a kind word for Buzz Sims.
Wonder why a good musician would keep such bad reviews.
What's that funny look on your face?
And it's signed, affectionately, Sally M. believe you.
RD1, huh?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll send the number over to the DMV. We should have a report in the morning.
Let's find out about the people close to Sims.
Sir,
He's
I
got a
don't-
girlfriend who calls herself a Baroness. Baroness von Hugo from Milwaukee.
Anyone else?
Well, there's
there's-
his manager, Joe Layton.
Who?
The doctor says there's no need to cancel. We can go ahead as scheduled. And there's still a few choice seats available.
Here comes the commissioner.
Dr. Haley, report to your office, please.
How about a statement, Commissioner?
We've just begun our investigation. Nothing yet.
What about the new piece Buzz is premiering at the concert? Blues for Sally Ann's dedicated to Mrs. McMillan, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's not relevant to this case.
Miss McMillan, how well do you know Buzz Sims?
We've never met.
Oh, come on, Mrs. McMillan.
Mrs. McMillan has made her statement. You may use it.
Dr. Allen.
Any further statements will come from my office in
Just
the morning.
make sure you find Buzz's attacker before the concert, Commissioner.
You're a new face.
Joe Layton.
Oh. Well, the police are working on several leads now, but none for publication.
What leads?
You're not listening, Ken. I said none for publication. And no more statements tonight.
I'm not kidding, Commissioner. Buzz Sims is a multi-million-dollar talent. We expect your best men on this case.
This may come as a surprise to you, Mr. Layton, but you don't have to have $1 million talent to get our best men. We use them on every case.
Maybe you better excuse us, baby. I think the commissioner wants to ask me a few questions.
So that's Sally M. Then I keep forgetting. It is a blues.
I hope you'll excuse the Baroness, but then I suppose you're as puzzled at my naming a composition after you as she is.
Well, I don't think I was exactly what she expected. I hope you're not disappointed.
No, not at all. I'm delighted.
What can you tell us about tonight? Any idea who attacked you?
Well, I didn't see anybody, but then I was working. And when I'm working, I'm always alone, no matter who's there.
Not even a glimpse?
No?
Mr. Sims, you have a picture of my wife on your piano.
Yeah?
Would you mind telling me how it got there?
Sure, it came through the mail. Right after my new composition was announced. I assumed you sent it.
No.
Well, that's strange, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Do you know anybody who'd want to kill you?
No?
Ever received a threatening letter?
Quite a few. But then they were all from girls who threatened to kill themselves if I wouldn't marry them.
Then you have no enemies.
I'm not certain I haven't got any enemies, Commissioner, but then I'm not sure I have any friends either.
You know him?
No, but I know who he is. That's Manny Sky. Used to be Buzz's drummer. Why would he be coming to see him?
Why wouldn't he?
Buzz fired him.
You know why?
Nobody does. Manny was a terrific drummer, and supposedly they were really close friends, but Buzz fired him.
And his girlfriend, the Baroness, from Milwaukee? What have you read about her?
Well, she's sort of an over-the-hill groupie who jumps from celebrity to celebrity. She met the Baron while she was in Europe the summer after high school, but she dumped him 6 months later.
I suppose you know how she met Buzz.
Mm-hmm. On a balcony overlooking a ski slope in Innsbruck during his last concert tour.
It's nice to know that all those hours you spent reading magazines aren't wasted.
Well, if you want the news one... The newspaper office. That's where it came from. It had to be.
What?
That picture on Buzz's piano, it's got to be the one I gave Dorothy Clark. She loaned it to me again last year when I was chairman of the Arts Bowl. The newspaper needed a picture so quickly, but they never returned it. That's got to be where it came from. I remember I was worried about it because it was signed affectionately Sally M. But the editor said it was all right. He said he could crop out the signature. I'm going to call the newspaper right now. Hello? This is Sally M. Who is this?
Who is this? What kind of a voice?
Well, it was a man's voice, I think. I'm not sure. It was muffled. He said to tell you that if you didn't get out of Buzz Sims' life, that he'd see to it that Blues for Sally M becomes a reality.
you, my dear. You're usually so prompt. I was afraid something might have happened to you. You know, I do feel guilty about your driving all this distance.
I enjoy the drive. Wow, is that bright? Let me fix it.
Well, thank you, thank you. Light blindness can be painful. Oh, you'll find a little present on that table.
Mr. Warlock, you've got to stop doing that.
Nonsense. Well, go on, open it.
It's my favorite cologne. But it's too expensive and you shouldn't have done it.
And you're kind enough to drive all the way down here just to read to me? No, it's just a small token of my very, very deep appreciation.
I enjoy reading to you. I read for several other people, you know that, and I don't expect to be paid. Now, you've got to promise me that you're not going to do it again.
Well, I see you're just as lovely as ever this morning. I'm glad there was no reason to worry about you.
Not me. Did you hear about Buzz Sims?
Yes, it was on the radio this morning.
You know, my husband and I were just arriving at his apartment for dinner when it happened.
Did you see the attacker?
Oh, no. Nobody has the slightest idea who did it, least of all Buzz Sims.
Well, perhaps it was a music lover.
Mr. Warlock, that's unkind.
Forgive me, my dear. I didn't realize he was such a friend of yours. There was nothing personal intended. I've never met the man.
No, neither had I until last night. You know, his scrapbook was open to a page of your reviews. I remember how we laughed at the clever way that you phrased them. But they didn't seem so clever last night.
Ah, but we did have fun laughing together, didn't we?
Well, they were witty and literate. They were very cruel.
Not cruel. Objective. Now, I've no doubt that Buzz Sims is a very nice man.
Buzz Sims has talent, Mr. Warlock. I'm not a critic, but I know that much.
I thought we were talking about music, young lady. I didn't say your friend didn't have talent. He's quite talented. But he betrayed that talent. Ah. Let's not talk about Buzz Sims. Why don't you go over there and read me my review of last night's Leonard Bernstein concert? I ravaged him. Absolutely ravaged him.
When we got here, the door was unlocked and the room looked exactly like this.
Well, we checked this place out to make sure that robbery wasn't the motive. The tape recorder and the piano are the only two things of value. They're both still here, especially the piano.
What about money?
He says he doesn't keep any. Says that he gets $50 a week from his manager and credit cards.
That's what I do with Sally, except it hasn't quite worked out.
That's Mrs. McMillan's compact, isn't it, sir?
Yes, Sergeant. We heard voices from the bedroom and a cry for help. This door was locked, so I had to break it in. The tape recorder was playing and the windows open, so whoever it was must have escaped from the balcony.
Police, hold it right there. Look out!
you really the police?
That's right. You Manny Sky?
Yeah.
Give me the tape.
What's on it?
Buzz's latest, Blues for Sally M.
What else?
Nothing, man. Just music.
Then why steal it?
I wasn't stealing. I was just borrowing.
You make a habit of breaking into other people's apartments to borrow things?
I didn't realize you'd be there to open the front door for me.
Well, why didn't you stop when I said police?
Because I didn't believe it. I thought you were the bums who attacked Buzz.
Any idea who they were?
The world's full of crazy people.
What about you, Sky? Why did Buzz fire you?
That is something that you'd have to ask Buzz. But if you think I'd kill him because of it, you're just as crazy as the rest of the world.
We better ask you some more questions. Downtown.
How come?
Because we want some answers.
Last evening, I had the misfortune of attending the rock concert at Carmel. You know, people, the total failure. Where Mr. Buzz
Listen to it.
otherwise enthusiastic audience.
I am listening. It's nice. Buzz has written himself a piece of music.
Under the music. Listen to the voice.
Civilized mind.
Voice? What voice? I'm grooving with the music.
Well, groove with the voice. Whose is it?
You any voices, Sergeant?
Of course I do. Isn't that why you took the tape? Isn't that the real reason you wanted it?
The reason I wanted it was to hear the new drummer's solo. They've told me that the new guy's good, but hearing is believing.
You know whose voice it is. You're protecting somebody.
Commissioner, I don't hear voices. Too bad about you and the sergeant here.
Officer, get him out of here. And Manny, don't leave town.
Oh, wow. I wish I could stay and hear the drummer's solo. Maybe you'll call me back later, huh?
I don't think we're going to get too far with him.
I don't think we're going to get that far.
You know, Commissioner, maybe you should,
Maybe I should what?
ask Mrs. McMillan to listen to that tape. No offense, sir, but I am a police officer trained to follow leads in their logical order. That's all.
What logical order?
Number 1, Buzz Sims names a composition for Mrs. McMillan. Number 2, her photograph with her signature on it is found in his apartment. Number 3, he sends roses and then invites the two of you to dinner. And number 4, her compact was found there.
And what does your police training tell you?
That there just might possibly be some connection between Buzz Sims and Mrs. McMillan.
Sergeant Enright, my wife happens to be the most honest person I know. When she says she's not withholding information, she's not. As for the photograph, I had it checked out this morning. It was on file at a newspaper office. A man telephoned asking for it, and they gave it to him. As for the compact, I'll check with my wife.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Oh, thank you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you. That was DMV, sir. That RD1 license plate belongs to an Arthur Drake of Mill Valley. Guess I'd better find out what his story is, huh?
I don't know how it got there. I didn't even know it was lost.
Well, if you remembered where you lost it, it might help.
Well, I've lost a lot of other compacts, Mac. What makes this one so important? The fact that it was found in a man's apartment?
Oh, I know it was a plant, but if I knew where you lost it, I might have an idea who planted it.
Sure, that's what you're saying, but that's not what you think. You actually believe that I lost this compact in Buzz's apartment and that I knew him.
When are you going to start believing I believe you?
When you start believing me. I suppose you think I made up that whole story about the picture. That I really did give Buzz a picture that was signed affectionately Sally M. and that I lied to you about.
I checked on the photograph this morning. A man called identifying himself as Buzz, asking for the picture, and they mailed it to him.
You checked on it. You checked on me, Mac.
Well, you started to do it yourself last night.
But it's one thing for me to check on me. It's another thing for you to check on me.
I wasn't checking on you. I was checking on a photograph.
But it was a photograph of me. How could you?
Well, it was very simple. All you have to do is pick up the telephone and start dialing.
You checked on me because you were worried. And you were worried because you thought I might be in some kind of jeopardy. I also forgot that this was the compact that you gave me for our anniversary last year. It was kind of dumb. Forgive me?
Forgiven?
Oh, no, not so easy. Make me suffer.
Suffer.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead, suffer. Come on, baby, go, go, go.
Oh, I feel terrible.
Feel better?
Yeah, much. Whatever happened to that engraved money clip that I gave you the same year?
This?
I never would have forgiven you if you lost it. And the year before that pen and pencil set?
These?
And the lighter?
I stopped smoking.
You mean you're telling me you no longer have that beautiful lighter?
I no longer smoke.
You lost it.
No, I
You lost
just
it.
don't remember where I...
You
okay,
lost
I
it.
lost
Aha.
Aha. Mhm.
Got any idea where you might have lost it?
No.
Exactly. It's upstairs in the bureau drawer in the back behind your handkerchiefs.
It used to be. Isn't there anymore.
You mean you really lost it?
Is this 4200 Laurel? Mr. Arthur Drake?
Yes.
Police. May I come in?
Sure. What's the trouble? Oh, excuse the way I look. I don't usually walk around like this. But then I'm not usually at home at this time of the day either. You see, I was visiting a client out this way and spilled some coffee on my trousers. My wife's in the kitchen cleaning them right now. What can I do for you?
Mr. Drake, you were observed leaving 604 North Lombard last night at about 8 o'clock. Would you mind telling me what you were doing there?
Well, police, sweetheart.
Yeah? What's he done, officer?
I haven't done anything, sweetheart. He's just asking a few routine questions.
Oh? I'd like to ask a few questions about your routine myself.
I was just inquiring as to his whereabouts yesterday at 8 p.m.
I like you, officer. We think alike. I asked that question when he got home at 8:30.
Your car was seen leaving the address at exactly 8:05 p.m.
It wasn't 604 North Lombard by any chance, was it, officer? That's where she lives.
She?
Louise Montgomery by name. Maybe with you here, we can get the truth out of him. Have you been seeing that cheap Tootsie again? Oh, no wonder you look so wrinkled all the time. Oh, I'm grounding you, Buster. No more pants for a week.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, at least give me my car keys. I gotta get to work.
Take a taxi.
Correct, Commissioner. Angle is not right at all.
Come here. Sims had to be facing the one who stabbed him. And he had to see who it was.
Then he lied to us. He must be protecting someone.
Well, if he lied about this, what else is he lying about?
Well, obviously, Mrs. McMillan. I mean, about all the evidence that indicated that he knew her.
You better check out Hardy One's alibi.
Yes, sir. I'm on my way. Oh, Commissioner, I hope I didn't offend you about Mrs. McMillan.
Not at all. In fact, you were right about her.
I was?
She is involved in this case. She just doesn't know how or why. What I can't figure out is the reason why. I mean, what could anybody hope to gain by involving Sally?
Well, I could have sworn that was where I bought it.
Why don't you ask the commissioner where you bought it? He's so big with the questions.
I can't ask him. I want to surprise him. And I'm not going to stop until I find it. He really loved that lighter.
Yeah? You don't think he was trying to tell you something when he lost it, do you?
He lost it because he quit smoking.
Oh. Well, then how come... Oh, never mind.
Anyway, I'm not buying it so much for the gift, but more for the sentiment.
Oh, I see. You're buying him another one so you keep reminding him he lost it. Clever girl. Keep him feeling guilty.
Mildred, I hope you don't mind my saying this, but you give the worst marriage advice I'd ever heard.
I think I mind your saying it.
How about some ice cream, my treat?
Okay, Mrs. McMillan, but it's my turn to buy.
Okay.
You know, on second thought, I think I like your treat better.
Don't you love that view? That's one of Buzz's tunes.
Oh, yeah?
Isn't that the cutest little monkey?
Yeah.
Hi there. Here you go. Here's another one. Take the nickel. Come on. She's up there. She's help me. Somebody do something. Help me. Somebody get a rope. Get a rope, somebody. Please. Help. The current's got her. It's taking her.
Let me through the rope.
That won't reach her. It's not long enough. Please get another one.
Hey, there's someone over there in the water.
Help.
Hurry up, Don. Looks like she's in trouble.
What's that over there, a shark?
Lady, that's a boy.
Oh, it looks grown up to me. Help me. That boat's gonna hit her.
That boat's gonna save her. Here, grab this life preserver.
I can't reach it.
All right, hold on. I'll get you another one.
Oh, she's got it. Keep your head high, Mrs. McMillan. High!
Here, give me your hand. Easy does it, lady. Well, take it easy, lady.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a million. They were a lot of help.
I hate to mention it, Mrs. McMillan, but you lost a shoe, right?
I think we'll go back and look for it later. Take it easy. Take it easy. Oh.
What happened, honey? Testing the water?
Yes, I'm here every day at 10 and 4.
Listen, shouldn't I find a phone? I mean, call the commissioner or something, huh?
We'll call him when we get home.
Great, Buzz.
Thanks. Okay, fellas, let's take it from the top again, huh?
First, a couple of questions.
Oh. Can't they wait, Commissioner? I've got a concert tomorrow night. A lot of lost time to make up.
2 questions, Buzz, that's all.
Take 5, guys. Okay.
What can't wait?
The tape you were playing last night, Buzz, what was on it before you recorded Blues for Sally M?
I don't remember. Didn't erase properly. Have to have that head fixed.
Whose voice is that?
I don't recognize it, but whoever it is, it can't be very important. Otherwise, I wouldn't record it over it. Why?
Manny Sky broke into your apartment this morning and tried to steal it. Why would he want it?
I haven't the faintest idea. What'd he say?
He wouldn't say anything. Do you think he could have been the one who attacked you?
Manny? Oh, Manny's a friend of mine. We've been friends for years.
Friendship didn't keep you from firing him. Why did you fire him? I thought Manny Sky was the best.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid was is right, but I can't go into that. What goes on in this group stays here.
Where'd you get this?
I've never seen it before.
It was found in your desk drawer.
Some chick probably left it there during a party. Why does it matter?
Because it belongs to my wife.
Oh, man. I can see where your head's at. Hey, Commissioner, you gotta believe this. There's nothing between me and your wife.
All I want is some hot tea. That's all I want. I'm gonna lace it a little. You need it. You'll love it.
Of course I still see Manny. Just because Buzz fired him doesn't make him my enemy. I've got plenty of my own. But Manny's not one of them. And neither is Buzz.
Why did Buzz fire him?
You know, Commissioner, if I were as bad at my job as you are at yours, I'd be out of business. What have you got? 2 suspects, Manny and me? Has it come to that, Commish?
I asked you why Buzz fired Manny.
Who knows with artists? Didn't you ever hear about temperament? Maybe one day Buzz decided he didn't like the way Manny brushed his hair or combed his teeth. Plenty of reason there for one artist to fire another. But no reason to kill, Commish. I'd offer you one, but I'm sure you don't drink on duty. Me? I always drink on duty. How else could I put up with him?
I take it you don't have too much respect for artists.
Did you ever know a babysitter who had respect for the babies? But it pays well.
And bugs you.
Only when it rains. Because I know, you see, that he'd be nothing without me.
I wonder if the Baroness agrees.
That dame should have stayed in Milwaukee and led the kind of life she was meant to lead. Beer and babies.
What bugs you there? Buzz has her and you don't?
Nobody has the Baroness. She likes names, as long as they are names. And right now, Buzz is.
And you're not.
Listen, nobody ever knows the names of the people who make the stars. There are a million kids with enough talent to make it, if they're lucky enough to connect with a Joe Layton.
I get the impression that you don't like anybody.
Commissioner, you're perceptive. Perceptive enough, I hope, to also realize that I didn't stab him.
But you did get a kick out of it. I'll bet you even enjoy Peter Warlock's reviews.
It's always nice to know that being one of the beautiful people doesn't keep you from getting hurt.
And you're quite a beauty yourself, you know that? And if you're worried about what to do with that body after you're gone, don't forget the hard fun.
Yes? It's for you.
What?
Commissioner, we just had a call. Your wife's had an accident.
At first, I thought that falling off the pier might have been an accident.
She was pushed, Commissioner, if not by the monkey, by the monkey's friend.
Then when we came home and we saw all this, I knew there had to be some kind of a connection.
Where were you during all this, Mildred?
I was shopping with your wife. Lucky, huh?
Mac, what am I going to do about clothes now?
What about mine?
She can't wear your clothes.
Were they shredded too?
No, just mine.
Lucky, huh?
Mac, you wouldn't be making light of this if it weren't more serious than I thought.
Hello?
Commissioner, this is Matty Sky.
I think it's about time we had a talk. Can you come to my apartment right away?
Yeah, where do you live?
309 East Fillmore, apartment C.
Right, I'll be right there. I'll have somebody come from the lab and check this out. Maybe they can find a clue as to who did it.
Oh, we know who did it.
You do?
We think it might have been the Baroness.
Who but a woman would shred another woman's clothes?
Especially the dress I was going to wear to the concert tonight.
That's Buzz Sims, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, don't touch that. I just painted it.
Yeah, that's Buzz Sims. He's the greatest, isn't he?
How well do you know him?
Oh, he's the reason I moved here.
Oh, well, then you're friends.
Well, actually, it's more like I'm his fan, you know?
You know him at all?
Well, I haven't actually met him, if you want to get technical. But I see him in the halls, you know, things like that. Well, he's always being followed by those hangers-on. Poor baby.
He was attacked last night in his apartment.
Yeah, I read it in the newspaper.
Where were you last night about 8 o'clock?
Right here.
Was anyone with you?
No, I was alone.
A man was seen leaving this building at 8:05 last night. His name was Arthur Drake. Does that name mean anything to you?
No,
You don't know Arthur Drake?
never heard of him. I'd like to help you, but at 8 o'clock last night, I was in the bathtub.
Well, now, if you don't know Mr. Drake, can you explain why his wife accused him of seeing you again last night? Mentioned you by name, in fact.
She knows me by name? Oh, that bum tells everything.
Then he was with you.
I'm telling you the truth. I was in the bathtub. Only I wasn't alone. Did you get that?
Oh, sure. Hello? Yes, Commissioner.
I'm on my way to Manny Sky's. When you're finished there, pick up the Baroness for questioning.
Yes, sir. You painted the phone?
Manny! Operator, this is Commissioner McMillan. Send an ambulance to 309 East Fillmore, apartment C, right away. Talk.
Well, wait, we were paid to shut him up.
Who paid you?
I don't know. I don't even know who he is. Look, mister, I don't know who paid us. We got a call to meet some guy in a bar. When we got there, the bartender tells us to go out in the alley. This guy comes up behind us, tells us not to turn around, and shoves an envelope at us. That's all I know. They don't pay to ask questions in my business.
Well, let me tell you something. You're out of business.
The Baroness appears to have vanished, sir. Most of her clothes are gone, and nobody seems to know where she went.
Well, let's find her. Put out an APB if you have to.
Yes, sir. Now, about that organ grinder, he's legit. Says that a couple of minutes before Mrs. McMillan fell in, a man gave him $5 to play a Buzz Sims tune.
Did he get a good look at the man who pushed her?
Well, he's checking the mug shots right now, sir, but I don't think he has a very good memory for faces. I think the monkey's going to be of greater help to us. Seriously. Look, I showed them both the Baroness's picture. Nothing from the organ grinder, but that monkey. I mean, the way he carried on. He's either met the Baroness or he wants to. I don't know why that struck me so funny. How's Mrs. McMillan, sir?
She's out shopping for new clothes. I think she's going to make it. What happened to the license plate?
Dead end. Drake's alibi holds up.
I should think so, with a plate like RD1. Criminal types rarely use their name on license plates.
Is there anything new from the hospital about Manny Sky?
Still in a coma. We found the other hood. Just about as helpful as the first one. Yes?
Commissioner, the Deputy District Attorney to see you.
Send him in.
I gotta go find something to get this off my hand.
Makes snappy reading, doesn't it?
Mac, I wanted an arrest, and I want it before tomorrow night's concert.
So do I.
You sure?
What does that mean?
It means I wonder just how hard you're trying.
Well, if you have any suggestions as to how I can try harder, don't hesitate to make one.
I have.
Make it.
Try grilling your wife.
There's no connection between my wife and Buzz Sims.
There has to be. All the evidence points to it.
You know, I can see how you lose so many cases.
And all I can see is a police commissioner who's lost his objectivity.
And what have you done with all your objectivity? Reached a conclusion that my wife stabbed a man 6 inches taller than she is, with a downward thrust while facing him so that he had a clear view of her while she was doing it. Then, to really throw us off, she planted her own compact in his apartment with a signed photograph on the piano. Then, being of sound mind and ingenious body, jumped into the bay and shredded all her clothes at the height of the season. Now, get out of here. I have work to do.
Mac, you're still trying to protect her. If Buzz Sims had written a composition for any other woman, and both her compact and her picture had been found in his apartment, that woman would be subjected to the most extensive and thorough questioning by the police, no matter how well she explained it to her husband or how much he believed her.
It looks awful.
Oh, it'll be fine. Oh, we'll just take a tuck here and a tuck there, and maybe a tuck here and a tuck there, and here a tuck, there a tuck, everywhere a tuck.
Mildred, the concert's tonight, you know.
I did my best to get Buzz to delay it.
You don't think anything will happen to him, do you, Mac?
Point is, sitting in the middle of a well-lighted stage, if anybody wanted to take a pot shot at him, there's nothing we could do about it.
Well, why don't you think that he'd listen to you and postpone it?
Because money talks even louder than the commissioner. It's a sold-out house tonight.
How do I look? The truth?
Gorgeous. Hello?
Commissioner, Manny Sky's still delirious, but he's talking. Maybe you should stop over here on your way to the concert.
He's going to kill her. He's going to kill her. He's going to kill Buzz.
Who's Sky? Who's going to kill Buzz?
He's dead. But he's going to kill him. He's going to kill him. Dead.
What could he mean by that? He's dead, but he's going to kill you.
Beats me. Doesn't make any kind of sense, does it?
I hope it doesn't. I asked you before, Buzz, please delay this concert tonight.
Now, look, Commissioner, I appreciate your concern, but I can't walk out of here tonight. I got a whole sold-out house full. Blues for Sally M is too important to postpone. Besides, I've got a feeling I haven't got that much time left.
A few days wouldn't make that much difference to you, and it could be crucial to our investigation.
What if I don't have a few days left? You know how many artists die young?
You know how many live to enjoy their grandchildren?
There's a line around the block waiting for standing room. Critics from every paper in California are here.
What about Peter Warlock?
Warlock's not likely to be here. Buzz, he covers them by radio. You know that.
He's got to be here. He's got to review me tonight.
He doesn't make all that much difference, Buzz. The others are the...
I don't care about the others. There are no others.
I just hope the only thing we have to worry about tonight is a critic.
It's 15 minutes.
On stage in 15 minutes, everybody.
Any luck, sir?
No, it's going ahead of schedule, but I've been thinking about the kind of man we're looking for, Sergeant. My wife, Buzz, Manny Sky, 3 attempts, none killed.
You mean he's inept? Well, that's good, isn't it?
Deliberately inept, and he's giving off signals.
You mean he's asking for help? Like that fellow in Chicago wrote on the wall, "Stop me before I kill more"?
That's right, only our man has the grace to say, "Stop me before I kill." And we gotta find him and give him that help before he gets tired of asking.
Introduce a new composition. Blues for Sally M.
Can I help? Well, who are you?
Police. And you?
Well, I work here. I left my flashlight when they called me to fix the heater.
Well, where is it?
Before he comes off.
But he hasn't finished taking his bows yet.
Where is he?
Well, he's still on stage taking bows, isn't he?
No, didn't he come down here? Where's Sims?
The guard says he walked right past him out the stage door. Says there were no orders to stop him.
Lost him already, Commissioner? This is obviously your first Buzz Sims concert. He never takes the encores.
What does he do?
Well, he usually likes to relax after a concert by jamming in North Beach. Well, I read it in a magazine.
Sergeant, you check out Columbus Avenue. I'll take Broadway.
What about me?
Oh, you come with me, my little treasure trivia. Well, we only have one more to make ourselves, Sergeant, so go on home.
Hi, Mac. Hey, it's been a long time.
It has.
Table for you and your friend?
My wife?
Oh, sure, Mac. I get it.
We're looking for Buzz Sims. You know him?
Oh, Buzz Babe. Yeah, he was here a while ago, but you missed him.
How long ago did he leave?
About an hour.
Huh?
About an hour. He jammed a while with the boys, and then he split.
Say where he was going?
Nope.
Was he alone?
Buzz always has a girl with him. Do you know someday I'm gonna get lucky and it's gonna be me?
Was she a blonde?
Honey, I didn't look at her. Just like I'm not looking at you.
Barbara, get it over here!
Okay, I'm coming. No table?
No table.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, it's unfortunate, but I think we've had it. Ready to go home?
Only if you promise to look at me.
Well, it's awfully late, but I promise.
Thank you for making it my night after all, Mac.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I set that alarm to come on so we could listen to Peter Warlock's review this morning.
That's a good idea. Let's listen to it.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, and music lovers. This is Peter Warlock, greeting you with an earache and a headache. The cause? A gentleman named Buzz Sims. Last night at Concert Hall, Mr. Sims subjected myself and the public to an evening of music that brought disgrace to that sacred hall. Billed as Mr. Sims' first attempt at
Terrible
serious
thing to
music,
say.
can only be labeled a total failure.
An otherwise
It simply was not music.
It simply was not music.
You're not going to tape that. It's not even worth listening to.
Ignored.
Civilized mind can only shrink from such frenzy. Mr. Sims' following either possesses a tin ear, or like its leader, a genuine contempt for good music.
Mr. Sims has managed to attract a following that, I suppose,
On the tape,
either
that's
possesses
Peter
a
Warlock's
tin
voice
ear,
too,
or,
isn't it?
like its leader, a genuine
Mr. Sims, whose father was a renowned musicologist, has forsaken his naturally inherent
I'll never feel the same about that man again. Where are you going, Mac? We haven't even been to sleep yet.
See Buzz.
We've been looking for Buzz all night. Where do you expect to find him now?
Listening to that review.
Matched in
or her name. However, she would be completely within her rights if she were to sue for defamation of character. And the court should deal with Mr. Sims as forcefully as they would with any other rapist. Gentlemen and music lovers, this is Peter Warlock, greeting you with...
These are all good. You know that?
And unimportant. He's the only one that matters.
No, he's just one critic. And not a particularly good one at that. Look at the paper he writes for. Circulation, 30,000. That's really going to break your career, isn't it? You've studied music, Buzz. Surely you've read Stravinsky's reviews.
Am I supposed to be comforted because my experience isn't unique? You're in the public eye. How do you react to bad reviews?
Well, pretty good now, but then I've had a lot of practice.
With an earache and a headache. The cause? A gentleman named Buzz Sims. Last night...
Why did he hate me?
Mr. Sims subjected myself and the
What did
public
he want from me?
to a music that brought disgrace.
You know, like anything I ever write. I thought maybe this time.
You can't spend the rest of your life trying to please someone else. A critic? A parent? Whatever you do, it's never enough for them. Because you're doing it, not them.
Billed as Mr. Sims' first attempt at serious music, it can only be labeled a total failure.
Peter Warlock, he's the luckiest accident that ever happened to this rag. You see, we're what you call a shopper.
I thought you called it a throwaway.
Oh, I see you've been around journalism.
Enough to find it a little unusual for a throwaway to have a music...
For a shopper to have.
Shopper to have a music critic?
Yeah, it's kind of classy, huh?
What are Warlock's credentials?
Oh, the best. Look, he writes well and mean. And people like to read someone vitriolic. Look, it sells papers, increases advertising.
And kills talent.
Yeah, how about that?
If he sells so much advertising, why doesn't a larger paper have him?
Oh, he's had offers. But he likes it here. Yeah, he likes his privacy. Anyhow, he's a strange little guy, and I don't like to bug him.
How did you find him?
Oh, he found me. I thought I could use some reviews to fill the spaces between my ads. So I hired this matronly piano teacher. Then I began getting these vindictive letters attacking her reviews from Peter Warlock. I began printing his letters, and I got an immediate response, even from the music world. You know, praising his letters. So I promoted the piano teacher to proofreader, and I hired Warlock as critic. He's doing so good now, he's even got his own radio show. You ever heard it?
Yeah, my wife and I stopped to catch it. Only this morning.
Peter Warlock is not the kind of man that you can just drop in on.
Don't tell me he's more unpleasant in person than he is on paper.
When I think of how darling I used to think he was, it's amazing how much I've changed since that review. We're not driving all the way out there because you think he's a suspect. Critics don't actually kill, man.
Oh, critics kill, all right.
Of course it's no imposition, my dear. It's always such a pleasure to see you. And an unscheduled visit, why, it's like a golden nugget in my day.
We'll try to be brief, Mr. Warlock, but I would like to talk to you a little about your reviews of Buzz Sims' work.
Oh, and has it become illegal to criticize the lack of talent these days, Commissioner?
Buzz Sims is a gifted man, Mr. Warlock. He proved that last night. Your review is unfair.
Yes, I'm sure he's gifted. But he simply failed to display those gifts last night. And it is especially disappointing when you know that Albert Sims Sr. was one of this country's most eminent musicologists and a classical musician of the highest order.
That's Buzz's father.
But the son rejected his father's music in favor of what the world chooses to call pop music. Personally, I find it blasphemous to use the word music to describe that kind of noise at all.
But Buzz has the right to compose what he wants. He doesn't have to do what his father wants, and he certainly doesn't have to do what you want.
And you, young lady, know nothing about music. How dare you encourage him to prostitute his talents? Composing a work as inferior as the one he named for you.
Mac, it's too bright. Mr. Warlock has light blindness.
Sorry, Mr. Warlock.
It's all right. It's the bane of my existence. I'm afraid the blight causes me intense pain. And now, if you'll be so kind as to excuse me, I'm afraid I must get some rest.
It was nice of you to let us come. I'm sorry about our disagreement. Will you be all right?
Well, certainly, my dear. Thank you for caring. You're a sweet person, and I can understand why any composer would want to write for you. Perhaps someday one will write a proper piece in your honor.
Why did you open those drapes? You knew about his light blindness.
Know about it? Just wanted to be sure.
Check on everything, don't you? Don't you trust anyone?
We're dealing with a potential murderer.
You don't think that I'd drive all that distance twice a week if I didn't know that Peter Warlock was almost blind. He has progressive hemerolopia. They say he might lose his sight completely before the year's over.
McMillan.
We've located the Baroness, sir. We have her at headquarters now.
Be there in a half an hour. The Baroness.
Oh, I'm going with you. I've got a few questions I'd like to
I'm
ask
taking you home. Somehow you don't bring out the best in her.
Well, I'd like to bring out the truth in her, like what she's been doing between the time my clothes were slashed until now.
I was on a skiing trip in Aspen.
A little sudden, wasn't it?
My
life is a series of last-minute invitations. I'd hoped to make it back in time for Buzz's concert, of course, but I'm rather bad at keeping track of that sort of thing.
You ever considered investing in a watch?
Mm-mm. But I do accept gifts, Commissioner.
When did you leave for Aspen?
Just after you saw me at the hospital. When I got back to my apartment, the phone was ringing off the hook. They wanted me to come right then.
Do you expect us to believe that you skip out on your boyfriend while he's in the hospital?
There are better ways to word that, Sergeant. But you don't have to take my word for it. Check with any of my friends at Aspen. That's if they're still at Aspen, of course. By now, they may have left for San Moritz.
Have you ever met any of Buzz Sims' family?
I'm not exactly the kind of a girl you bring home to meet Mama. Or hadn't you noticed, Commissioner? But as a matter of fact, I did have dinner with Buzz and his father one night. A real weirdo, that one.
I'd be interested in knowing the kind of person you call a weirdo.
You're sweet. You know that? Well, for openers, he was barely speaking to Buzz. He didn't approve of Buzz's music, it seems. And we ate by candlelight. Not because it was romantic, but because the old man had weak eyes. Bright lights gave him a headache. And we hadn't finished the first course when he began to rage at me, accused me of ruining Buzz by encouraging his interest in pop music. As if I care what Buzz composes. I'm the girl who put up with Blues for Sally M, remember? Shaking that mop of white hair at me, he looked exactly like a shabby Beethoven.
Long white hair?
And a mustache and a beard. Don't they always?
Would you remember where he lives?
He doesn't. He died 3 years ago.
What's the matter, sir?
I want you to go to Peter Warlock's house. Pick him up. If he's not there, find him. I'll pick up Buzz Sims.
Commissioner, your home phone is still busy.
Buzz, don't apologize. No, it wasn't. I considered it a tremendous success. I'm proud that you named it after me. No, I'm not busy. Where are you? Sure, I can come now. You shouldn't be alone when you're in a mood like this. Buzz, I'll be right there.
Thanks. I'll meet you. Central, this is Commissioner McMillan. Get my home again, please.
McMillan residence. Oh, hi, Commissioner. No, you just missed her. Not a minute ago. Oh, she said to the concert hall to see Buzz Sims.
Thank you.
Commissioner? Commissioner? He sure isn't one for chit-chat.
Central, have Sergeant Enright meet me at the concert hall and dispatch 2 available units there immediately.
Buzz, where are you?
I'm afraid he's not here, my dear. You had to come back, didn't you?
Mr. Warlock, what are you doing here?
You came back to hear the applause again. Isn't that right? Applause for a composition named for you. You probably think you deserve it. For inspiring him.
Mr. Warlock, what's happened? Where's Buzz?
You know what you really deserve?
Buzz!
No use shouting. We're quite alone, my dear. Your friend's dead. I killed him. And now I'm going to kill the person responsible for his tobacco. Just listen to that drivel. And listen to them out there.
Nothing. Total silence. No tears, no shouting, nothing. And this, my dear, is your encore.
Oh, Buzz, what have we done to you? Then Buzz actually stabbed himself.
That's right. You see, first the Warlock side fell in love with you, and then the Buzz side couldn't help but do the same.
And that made Warlock hate me for encouraging all the things he hated in Buzz. How could anybody write such cruel reviews of his own work?
We all have our own Warlock side. We're all our own worst critics, aren't we? Buzz just carried it further than we do.
Why didn't anybody see what was happening to him?
Because he was surrounded by people who didn't care enough. Layton, the Baroness. Well, the one person who cared enough was Manny Sky.
Is that why Manny wanted the tape, to protect Buzz?
I think he wanted it to verify his own hunch. You see, he suspected Warlock was Buzz's father, and yet he knew Buzz's father was dead. He got about that far when they nailed him.
And Buzz sent them to stop him.
The Warlock side did. The important thing is that Manny's going to be okay. And it's what he said in his delirium that pointed us on the right track.
Which personality do you think will survive?
That's too soon to say. Composers can live without critics, but critics can't live without composers. Warlock can't survive without Buzz, and yet Buzz has to learn to live without Warlock.
It must be terrible to share your life with an alter ego.
Well, that depends on who it is. Sometimes it's very nice. Wait till you see my encore.
I live for the day, Charlie, when you'll know what I've been through.
Monica, what are you talking
The
about?
cells, the bars, the disgrace, especially the disgrace. I want you to know the hell I've lived through.
Monica!
No, don't. Please, don't kill me. Please, don't kill me.
She's dead.
Stay out, everybody. Sally, call a doctor.
Dr. Thursby.
Stay back, please. Stay back. Get me an ambulance. Hurry.
What happened?
Somebody shot her.
This gun's been fired. One shot.
I didn't fire it, Commissioner. Doesn't anybody believe me?
I want that room thoroughly investigated. Policemen on guard around the clock. No one will go in and out of that room unless I know about it. I want the guest list, the name of the caterer, photographer, and florist, and anybody else involved in that reception, no matter how remote.
Commissioner, I didn't shoot her.
I know you didn't, Charlie.
You do? How?
You just told me.
Oh. Is that all you have to go on?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not much, is it, sir?
You're her husband?
Her ex-husband, yes.
We did everything we could.
I'm sorry, Sergeant.
You send the necessary papers to my office, Doctor.
Sure.
Well, I guess we'd better go down to headquarters and book me.
Sergeant Mack would never have you arrested.
Well, I'm afraid he has no choice, Mrs. McMillan.
He's right, Sally.
I was afraid he was.
I see Monica Fontaine, please.
I'm sorry, sir. She died a few minutes ago.
I bet this is the first time a cop ever turned in a report on himself. Well, there it is, sir, from start to finish.
Sure that's everything?
Yes, sir, that's exactly the way it happened.
Something's got to be missing.
It's all there, sir. I had invited Monica to La Palette for drinks that evening. You and Mrs. McMillan were going to meet me there.
I wonder what she's like.
What makes you think we're meeting a she?
Drinks at La Poulette? Come on, Mac. That's a little steep for Sergeant Enright unless he's trying to impress somebody. He did say he invited us.
Oh, yes, he was very clear on that point. But he has reason to celebrate tonight. How often do you get named Cop of the Year?
Well, probably not more than once a year.
Well, you haven't changed at all, Charlie. And that's as depressing a statement as I ever hoped to make.
Well, I'm sorry if I disappoint you, Monica. You look very good.
I do. It's no thanks to you. I'm held together by a thread, Charlie. A thread. These last 15 years have been quite a trip. Quite a trip. But as rough as it's been, I'd take it over life with you again, sweetheart.
The Enright party. Yes. They are very much here, Commissioner.
Thanks, Alonzo.
You see, I was right. She is a she. Look at that face. Not one real thought in it. Will you stop grinning at me, Charlie?
I'm not grinning, Monica. That's the way my mouth is.
I had forgotten how much I always hated it. And every other part of you.
Hello, Sergeant. Congratulations. We're so pleased. Nobody deserves an award more than you do.
Thank you. Commissioner, Mrs. McMillan, this is Monica Fontaine.
Commissioner of Police? Well, what is this, a cop convention? You know I always hated cops, Charlie. I can't imagine why anyone would want to give an award to one.
I suppose you're wondering who Monica is.
Oh, no, we'd forgotten all about her.
Wish I could. Guess I never will. I even kept hoping that you'd come with us to the ceremony tonight.
You know, Sergeant, she doesn't seem quite right for you. How did you happen to meet her?
She's my wife.
Your wife?
My ex-wife, yeah.
I didn't know you were married, Charlie.
Well, I've been divorced a lot longer than I was married. Monica left me 15 years ago. I saw her today again for the first time. You know, it's funny. When she phoned me this morning, I thought it was to congratulate me on my award. But of course, she never even knew about it.
She live here?
No, Los Angeles. She came up here for the wedding of her niece. Our niece. I'm sorry I had to put you two through all this.
Oh.
Don't apologize, Sergeant. I'm just glad you didn't have to go through it alone. You might not have made it to the ceremony in time.
Hey, that's right. The cameras are waiting.
Oh, no. I'd forgotten about all those cameras. I'd almost rather face Monica again.
You must be a very happy man tonight, Sergeant.
Oh, yeah, real happy.
Oh, well, how about letting us see some of it?
Oh, you are. I'm grinning right now, actually.
Oh, really?
That's my grin.
Poor Sergeant Enright. He's still in love with his wife. It's right there on his face, isn't it?
Policeman of the Year.
I'd say no what makes you say that, but I'm sure you're going to tell me anyway.
Well, why else would he want to see her again? Then she had to go and ruin his big moment. She didn't even congratulate him.
You know, it's a shame you're so happily married. You are, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have the makings of a great ex-wife.
Well, that's something you'll never know for sure.
Good night, everybody. Okay, come on, let's go this way. All right, fellas, come on, let's get a few shots over here. Excuse me, honey, we'll just step right back. Come on, you get over there. All right, get around here. Now, when you shake hands with them, go ahead. Shake hands, the two of you. That's it. All right, fellas, go ahead.
I really don't mind working this weekend, sir, if there's something I can do for you.
I thought your niece's wedding was tomorrow.
Yes, sir, it is. But I only have to put in an appearance.
I take it you're not looking forward to the festivities.
Well, I was looking forward to it, sir. I'm very fond of my niece. It's just that I'm afraid that a wedding will bring out the worst in Monica.
That wasn't the worst we saw last night?
No, sir. Monica was just getting started last night. You see, sir, Monica believes that our marriage is to blame for everything that's gone wrong in her life. She thinks I'm the one that stood in the way of her career.
From what I saw last night, I can't imagine anyone standing in her way.
Well, I did refuse to move to Hollywood, sir. We were both very young. She thought all you had to do was to move there to become a star.
So she went without you?
Mm-hmm. But I thought that once she found out what it was like, she'd come right back.
But how can she blame you for her failure? You didn't stop her from going, did you?
Well, she said that if I had believed in her talent, I would have gone with her. Well, if her own husband didn't believe in her, how could she be expected to convince strangers?
Well, she's gotten you to swallow that argument. She's a pretty good actress. Look, why don't you just go down to the wedding and get it over with? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't I drop by the reception, have some assignment for you, and get you off the hook?
Well, I couldn't ask you to do that, sir.
No, you couldn't. That's why I offered. Well, I think we better find the cop of the year. Bigger office.
glad you could come. I don't think I really would have felt married if you hadn't been here.
Well, you have all it takes to make it legal right here.
Oh, and we're so proud of your award. Except in my book, Uncle Charlie, you're cop of the century.
Well, I'd like to borrow that book when you finish reading it.
We'll see you later.
Okay, you look beautiful.
I guess he's had enough. We better get him out of there.
He hasn't been in there 20 minutes yet. You know, he's probably enjoying himself just because you don't like wedding receptions.
Sally, there isn't a man in there who's enjoying himself. Come on.
Well, after all these years, there must be Captain Enright, or Major, or whatever it is they call cops.
No, it's just Sergeant, Mr. Fontaine.
Just Sergeant? Wow. I always said you'd never amount to much, Charlie, didn't I, huh?
Yes, you always did.
Say, have you seen Monica since she's been back in town?
We had a drink together.
You drinking now, Charlie?
No. Not really.
There's just been no improvement in you at all, has there been?
No, sir, I guess there hasn't been.
Sergeant.
Commissioner, Mrs. McMillan. What a nice surprise to see you here.
I'm afraid I have some bad news, Sergeant. I'm going to have to pull you away from here. That is, if your friends will excuse you.
Oh, I don't know anyone here who'd miss him at all.
Mr. Fontaine, I'd like you to meet Commissioner and Mrs. McMillan. This is my former father-in-law.
Let's just say I'm Monica's father, huh? Let it go at that.
Yes, I think that's enough to say. We met your daughter yesterday.
And she certainly does take after you.
Well, I guess we better be going. I'm sure what work there is.
Can't wait. Oh, excuse me. I'm terribly sorry.
No, it's my fault. I walked right into...
Of course it was your fault, Charlie. And before you go knocking down any more professional men, let me introduce you to this one. This is Dr. Thursby. He came with Monica. And this doctor is Monica's first mistake, Sergeant Charles Enright. His friends are Commissioner and Mrs. McMillan.
Nice wedding.
Yes, it is.
Well, they're not guests here, you know. They're just collecting funds for the policeman's ball.
It's nice to meet you, Doctor.
Sure is. Oh, look it.
What's that? Oh, thank you, Mrs. McMillan. If I walk around with a feather on my lapel, people will think I'm a vet.
Well, I know you hate to leave, Sergeant, but we really must go.
Leaving so soon, Charlie?
Hello, Monica. Yes, we were just going.
Oh, you can't go yet. I've been looking for you all over. Let's go someplace we can talk. You will excuse us for a moment, won't you?
I hope this won't take too long, Monica. I can't keep the commissioner waiting.
It's just like old times. Nothing matters but your work.
Let's have a drink.
Good idea. Do you remember the day we got married?
Of course I do.
This room reminds me of our marriage. Drab, barren, lifeless, unused.
I was the one who wanted children, Monica.
Children. Ha! You're interested in nothing but being a cop.
Let's not go into all that again, please, Monica.
Why? Because you have to go? Well, it's always been you, Charlie, hasn't it? Everything's always been more important to you than I. Well, go. Go on, leave. Leave me, just like you did last time.
You're the one who went, Monica.
I left because I had a career waiting for me, all the world waiting. Only without you, you know what they did to me. They didn't want my talent. Without you to protect me, they turned me into a tramp, Charlie. And when they were finished with me, they locked me up in a mental hospital for 3 years. 3 years!
I'm sorry, Monica. I didn't know.
Aunt Monica, Uncle Charlie, please open the door.
Every day. Every day when I was there, I thought about you, Charlie. I thought you'd come. I thought you'd get me, Charlie. You were too busy.
playing policeman. Cop of the year. Big shot cop of the year. A guy like you can be destroyed, too. You are not that safe.
Monica, you need a doctor.
I've seen doctors. Doctors can't help me. I have to help myself. How would you like to be alone, abandoned, have everyone point an accusing finger at you? I live for the day, Charlie, when you'll know what I've been through.
Monica, what are you talking about?
The cells, the bars, the disgrace, especially the disgrace. I want you to know the hell I've lived all these years.
Monica!
God, no, don't. Please, don't kill me. Please, don't kill me. Oh!
She's dead.
Stay on, everybody. Sally, call a doctor.
Dr. Thursby!
Stay back, please. Stay back. Get me an ambulance. Hurry.
What happened?
Somebody shot her.
This gun's been fired. One shot.
I didn't fire it, Commissioner.
I was wrong about you, Charlie. I just didn't believe you had it in you.
I didn't shoot her. Doesn't anybody believe me?
All right, let's go over it once more.
We've been over it and over it, Commissioner. I've told you everything.
Are you sure there isn't anything you've forgotten?
Well, if there is, I've forgotten it.
Well, it just doesn't make any sense. Nobody could have gotten in or out of that room.
Haven't you forgotten something, sir?
What's that?
You haven't booked your principal suspect.
Don't be so anxious, Charlie. I don't want your record to show you were booked for murder if we can avoid it. Let's wait until we get the ballistics report.
I appreciate that, sir, but anybody else would have been booked by now as routine procedure.
Well, if it'll make you feel any better, I'll book you.
Well, I don't mean to sound pushy, sir.
Well, let's wait for that ballistics report, okay? I can't believe that bullet was fired from your gun.
Then how do you explain the fact that my gun had just been fired? I mean, if I didn't do it.
Sergeant, whose side are you on anyway?
I am on yours, sir.
Good. When was the last time you fired your gun?
This morning at target practice. That's how I know the paraffin test will be positive.
Commissioner? Well, maybe I better come back when the commissioner's not quite so busy, or perhaps you could come to the lab, Commissioner, or maybe we could meet in a coffee shop.
Whatever you have to say, Sykes, you can say it in front of me.
Do you want me to read all that, Sykes, or do you want to tell me?
Everything's right there, Commissioner. Every question is answered right there.
Come on, say it, Sykes. Just say it.
Well, of course, we all knew the paraffin test would show positive.
Go on.
Sorry, Sergeant. The bullet that killed the deceased came from your gun.
Are you sure, Sykes?
Positive. Look for yourself. Check the gun filings, the barrel of the gun, the whirls, the swirls. We've never run a double check quite like this one. There's no mistake, none.
You do a good job, Sykes.
Yeah. I'm afraid so, Sergeant.
It still doesn't make any sense.
Well, you'll just have to book me now, Commissioner. Sergeant. I don't have anybody to call. "15 years in a cardboard box, and it all fits." Oh, those pictures aren't mine. They were hanging there when I first came to the office. I never did like them. Thanks for posting the bond for me, sir.
That's one of the few things I can do, Sergeant. Look who's still waiting. I thought you were going home in a taxi.
Do you realize how many men have tried to pick me up while I was waiting? Right in front of the police station. You know what I needed, Sergeant, was a good cop.
You mean you've been sitting here all this time?
Yes, to give you a personal escort back to our house. I called Mildred. She's got macaroons in the oven. They're your favorite, aren't they, Sergeant?
Hey, that's a good idea. You could spend a night in the guest room and then in the morning have one of Mildred's breakfasts.
Well, that's very kind of Mildred and of you, but not tonight, thanks. I'll see you at the arraignment in the morning. Good night.
Good night, Charlie.
Good night, Sergeant.
Sergeant Charles Enright, special officer assigned to Police Commissioner Stuart McMillan, was booked within the hour for the murder of his former wife, Monica Fontaine. Sergeant Enright was the recipient of the city's top police honor, the Policeman of the Year award, just 2 nights.
Well, Sergeant, what luck finding you home. I was afraid I might be stuck in the neighborhood for a couple of hours by myself.
How How's that, sir?
Well, I decided to try that all-night service station you're always recommending so highly. They're greasing my car.
Well, would you like me to give you a ride home?
Well, I thought I'd wait here, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. But I don't think I'm likely to be very good company tonight.
Drink up. After a couple of beers, we'll both be better company.
Well, sir, if you're going to stay here, why don't you tell that other man to go home?
What other man?
The one outside, watching me. And you might tell him he's not doing a very good job. I spotted him when I was unlocking the front door.
Sergeant, I didn't assign anybody to watch you.
You didn't?
No. And I don't see anybody either. Are you sure you did?
Well, I know surveillance when I see it. Look, Commissioner, if you didn't assign somebody, who did?
Oh. By the way, got some good news for you. Mike Bolger has decided to defend you.
Mike Bolger?
Well, at least you could say his name with a smile on your face.
Commissioner, I can't afford his kind of defense.
We can't afford anything but his kind of defense. Mike Bolger hasn't lost a case since 1946.
Well, here goes his record.
Mac, can I talk to you for a minute?
Sure.
I've been up with this case all night, and I think the only chance we've got is for him to plead guilty to involuntary manslaughter. That way, we might be able to get him off with 1.5 years. As a matter of fact, with his record, I'm sure of it.
You want him to plead guilty?
Look, Mac, at my prices, I could stretch this one out so that even I couldn't afford me. Let's get it over with and save everybody.
Well, Mike, he's innocent.
All right, sounds fine. But remember, if he's pronounced not innocent, he'll get 20 years to life.
All rise. His Honor, Judge Clement Williams presiding.
I suppose, Sergeant, you are aware of the charges against you?
Sergeant Enright is aware of the charges, Your Honor.
Very well. And how do you plead, Sergeant?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
Since we're dealing with a case where a man's reputation is at stake, I'm sure everyone is most anxious for an early preliminary hearing. We'll therefore set that hearing for 1 week from tomorrow, if there are no objections.
No objections, Your Honor.
Will you set bail at this time, Your Honor?
No. The court will wait until after the preliminary hearing before entertaining any decision on bail.
May I address the court, Your Honor?
State your name and what capacity you wish to address the court.
Stuart McMillan, I am here as amicus curiae, Your Honor.
And for what purpose, Commissioner?
Your Honor, Detective Sergeant Charles Enright has served as special officer attached to the police commissioner for as long as I've held the post. I can attest to his outstanding character. His record will verify him to be one of the best men in our entire department. Prior to this incident, he was without blemish. In view of these facts, I'm asking the court to reconsider its position in refusing to set bail at this time.
I appreciate your interest, Commissioner. However, I remain reluctant to set bail because this is not only a capital case, but one which has already received an unusual amount of publicity.
Your Honor, let me assure the court that I will personally assume full responsibility for Charles Enright.
Are you prepared to post bond at this time?
I am. I have a bail bondsman with me.
Very well. Set bail at $100,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I know what you're doing, Commissioner. You're going after a whitewash, but it's not going to get you anywhere. I know how you cops stick together. You hired Bolger, you posted bond, and you'll do everything you can to get your friend off. But it won't work, Commissioner, because I won't accept anything but justice.
Neither will I. So what's your interest in the case?
My name's Alex Fontaine. I'm Monica's brother.
Well, I appreciate your desire for justice, Mr. Fontaine, so I'll forget what you just said, because it sounds an awful lot like a threat.
Don't forget it, Mr. Commissioner. Think about it a lot. Because if the law doesn't get Charlie Enright, I will. And no one, you included, is going to stop me.
Alex Fontaine is a former Green Beret, skilled marksman, and an expert in karate.
Well, he sounds like a walking weapon. Can't you arrest him for making threats like that?
Only if he puts it in writing and mails it.
Why don't you send him a self-addressed stamped envelope? You don't think he'll really try and hurt Sergeant Enright, do you?
Well, I'm worried enough to put a tail on him. And Enright.
Okay, what's the matter with the food?
Nothing.
Well, now listen, fasting isn't going to help anybody. Come on, Commissioner. At least enjoy your new terrace. Even though it did cost you more than it's worth. What's money, right?
Mildred, we were talking about Sergeant Enright.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all love him. But let's face it, he's done for.
Mildred!
Well, facts are facts. Who else killed her? I love him, and I'll miss him.
Mildred, he had no reason to kill her. He had no motive.
Oh, come on, Mrs. McMillan. There was motive all over that room. 15 years of bad marriage.
That's exactly my point, Mildred. Nobody kills his ex-wife after 15 years.
Look, don't waste time convincing me. Concentrate on the jury. Me? I love the guy.
She's just like a jury, isn't she? That's the way they're gonna be.
I'm afraid so. It just wasn't so airtight. There's got to be a flaw somewhere.
My father said there are no perfect crimes.
Yeah, just unsolved ones.
What exactly are you looking for, sir?
Anything unusual, Jensen. Anything unusual.
There's not much hope, sir. There's just no way anybody could have gotten into or out of this place. It's too bad. You know, Enright is a pal of mine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And a great cop. But I knew Monica from the old days. Of course, a guy doesn't like to tell a buddy, but she had a track record when he married her. If you get my meaning.
You make it very clear.
Of course, I guess she had it coming to her. It's just too bad Enright didn't plan it better.
I can't help it. Everything incriminates him. There's just no doubt about it. This bullet came from Enright's gun. Now, here's the autopsy report. Look at it. Just look at it. Take a look. Everything incriminates him. You don't know how badly I wanted to be wrong on this one, Commissioner, but you know me. I don't make mistakes. I'm just so thorough. I even checked her dress. Do you know why? There was a thread fragment on the bullet. I checked the thread to see if it matched the threads on the dress. It does. There's no question about it. I feel as though I'm convicting the sergeant single-handedly.
Sykes.
What?
Wait a minute. Take a look at this.
I've already examined it.
The hole's jagged.
So?
Enright uses round-bore bullets.
You're right, Commissioner. This should be a round hole. In fact, any bullet should make a round hole. Now, that's really very interesting. Let me look at this. Now, that's definitely jagged. Commissioner, this hole should not be jagged.
Check the wound again. Blood type. Check everything.
How can this hole be jagged? It can't be jagged. Yet it is jagged. Now, that's really very interesting.
What would make a jagged hole instead of a round hole?
It's not much of a clue, is it, sir?
Yeah, but it's something, Charlie. This is the first thing we found that raises a question. Up until now, everything we found incriminates you. But now we have something that's out of the ordinary. Something that indicates Monica couldn't have been killed the way she seems to have been killed.
Do you think a jury will buy it?
No, I don't think a jury will buy it, but it's a beginning. Ooh, corn and boiled potatoes. Why can't I ever convince Sally to have the both? You expecting company?
No, sir. I just love to cook. Only when I'm on duty, I don't have time to cook or to eat. Now I have plenty of time, and I'm not hungry, and this isn't a very good location for a restaurant.
Yeah, well, now that we've gotten our first break, everything will fall into place.
You really call this a break, sir?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I appreciate you stopping by like this, but a jagged hole in a dress isn't going to mean anything to anybody but us.
Do you happen to remember why you won the Cop of the Year award?
Yes, I do. I
cracked the Levinson case.
And how did you do that?
I finally found a clue.
And now you found the clue to the Fontaine case.
It's nothing.
It's a clue.
It is something. You're right. First clue on the Levinson case wasn't much bigger. You care to join me, Commissioner?
I thought you'd never ask.
.3:30, reception begins. 4:03, Enright arrives. 4:06, Enright greeted by Vicky and Ted. 4:12, Fontaine talks to Enright. 4:20, McMillan's arrive. 4:23, Dr. Thursby introduced. 4:26, Monica asks Enright to enter locked room. 4:28, Monica and Enright enter room. 4:36, shot is heard. 4:37, McMillan enters room. Monica shot. Enright gun in hand. 4:38, Dr. Thursby examines Monica, calls for ambulance. 4:57, Monica, Dr. Thursby enter ambulance. 5:26, Monica operated on, pronounced dead at hospital by Dr. Wilson. And it just doesn't get us anywhere.
Well, we'll just have to keep going over it and over it and over it.
We've been going over and over and over it, and no matter where we start, it always ends up the same. I'm the only person who could have killed her. I'm having a hard time convincing myself that I didn't.
You know, Sergeant, what we haven't done is give enough thought to the other witnesses.
What other witnesses? Monica and I were alone.
Yeah, you were alone. She was shot, yes, but not afterwards.
I don't see what you're getting at, sir.
Neither do I. Except look at Dr. Thursby. He enters our sequence of events here, when you bumped into him as you were leaving. Continues on through the sequence, only until here at the hospital.
How does that help us?
It's our second inconsistency. Thursby's a doctor, right? He examined Monica at the scene of the shooting, was with her in the ambulance, but not in the hospital. Now, it's standard procedure that a doctor who assumes a patient in stress never leaves the patient. He never even waited until she was operated on. He just disappeared.
That's right, sir.
What do you know about him?
I met him at the reception. That's it.
Then I think we should find somebody who knows this Dr. Thursby.
Sergeant Enright, Commissioner. Oh, come on in.
We're sorry to disturb you on your honeymoon.
Oh, that's all right. You're not disturbing us.
Of course not. Hello, Uncle Charlie. Commissioner, can we get you some coffee? Here, let me pour you some.
No, thank you. Your breakfast just arrived, so go ahead and enjoy it.
Oh, dear, I'm afraid the coffee's cold. Ted, will you order some?
No, thanks. We just had a big lunch.
Oh. Well, we're just about to order lunch ourselves. Somehow we never got around to breakfast. Well, you know how slow room service is. You're hungry when you order it, but by the time it gets here, you're on to something else.
We'd like to ask you a couple of questions about Dr. Thursby.
Dr. Thursby?
Monica's friend. We hadn't met him ourselves until the reception.
Do you know if he was the only doctor at the wedding?
Yes, he was. That's funny. Monica asked the same question.
I want an APB on Dr. Felix Thursby, probably of Los Angeles.
You know, sir, for the first time, I think we're on to something.
Good.
But what?
Well, Charlie, I sure thought you'd be in jail by now.
I'm out on bail, Mr. Fontaine. And I didn't kill her.
Oh, sure you didn't. Oh, say, would you get me that magazine with the pretty blonde on the cover?
I'm glad to see you're taking your daughter's death so well, Mr. Fontaine.
Oh? Well, my daughter died the day she married your friend here. Thank you.
What do you know about the man she was with at the reception, this Dr. Thursby?
Well, I know he's not a cop, and that's enough for me.
Are you sure he's a doctor? He left her at the hospital, never even bothered to check on her again.
Did he really? Well, that doesn't surprise me. Poor Monica, she never has had much luck with the men in her life. As for his being a doctor, I was talking with him at the reception about my son's radius. Alex broke his radius skiing, and it never healed right. Thursby thought I was sewing about a leg bone. How's that for a dummy, huh?
Do you know where he lives?
Well, he was staying at the Lamplighters. I doubt he'd be there alone now. Monica was picking up the tab.
Movie star scrapbook. Interesting hobby for a man your age.
Yeah, isn't it? You know, actually, I picked this up from my wife. She and Monica used to paste these things in by the hour, with her telling Monica all the time someday it'd be her. Well, who knows? Maybe one of the newspapers will print a nice little obit picture. If they do, I'll paste it in somewhere near the back. Why not?
Well, don't you see?
I haven't looked.
What? Oh, you're right. Take a look. Gunpowder grains all around the hole in the dress. They couldn't have been made by a gun 20 feet away. That does it.
Does what?
Breaks the case. If Enright were across the room, he couldn't have killed her.
Sykes.
It's as simple as that.
Sykes, the prosecution will tell the jury she was shot at close range and fell back due to the impact.
Sorry, Sergeant. I tried.
But I was 20 feet away.
I believe you.
Commissioner, they told me you were here. Lowen, right?
What is it?
Well, go ahead, Chapman. How much worse can it get?
You've been saying there was no motive. I believe I found one.
Motive? For me to kill her? What motive?
Sergeant, did you take out an insurance policy on your wife when you were first married?
Yes, I did.
Do you continue to make yearly payments?
Yes, I do.
Are you the beneficiary to the tune of $50,000?
I am.
A policy a man has made payments on for 15 years after being divorced. On the life of a woman who hated him. Would you call that motive, Commissioner?
That is a retirement policy for when she reaches 60. I kept up the payments because I felt that I owed it to her. So that she'd have something when she reached old age. I'd forgotten it had a death benefit. I really had.
You were the surgical nurse during the operation when Miss Fontaine died.
Yes.
Is this the bullet that was removed from the deceased?
It is, yes.
How can you be certain?
Well, I marked and tagged it right here.
Thank you, Miss Summers. No more questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
The witness may step down.
I call Police Commissioner Stuart McMillan.
Raise your right hand. State your name, please.
Stuart McMillan.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
I do.
truth, so help you God?
As you're aware, Commissioner, we have substantiated that the deceased was killed by this bullet. The attending doctor verified this was the bullet removed from the deceased's body. The attending surgical nurse just corroborated that testimony. Would you please tell us if you recognize this gun?
I can.
Whose is it?
Sergeant Charles Enright.
And where were you at the time of the shooting?
In the next room.
What did you hear from the murder room? Would you please tell us that?
The shot.
No. Before the shot. Isn't it true that you heard Sergeant Enright and the deceased arguing?
Objection. The district attorney is leading the witness.
Your Honor, I withdraw the question. I certainly wouldn't want to lead the commissioner into anything. Commissioner, would you please tell us in your own words what you heard before the shot?
A voice.
Coming from the murder room?
Yes.
Whose voice?
The deceased.
How would you describe that voice? Happy, angry, frightened?
He's asking for a conclusion, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I can substantiate any conclusion the commissioner might have with a dozen other witnesses. I'll move on to the next question. Would you tell us what did you hear coming from the room before the shot?
I heard the deceased scream.
Scream what? Were there words?
Yes.
Would you please repeat them to the court?
Oh, God, no. Don't. Please don't kill me.
Would you please repeat them again a little louder?
Oh, God, no. Please don't. Don't kill me.
She screamed them.
Yes.
Pleading for her life.
Objection.
Sustained.
Now, Commissioner, would you tell us what you saw and what you did after the shot?
I broke through the locked door. Sergeant Enright was standing with a pistol in his hand. The deceased was lying on the floor some 20 feet away. I took the gun from the sergeant, smelled it. It had recently been fired. And there was an empty cartridge in the chamber.
And this gun? The gun that ballistics has already proven fired the bullet. Is this the gun you took from Sergeant Enright?
Yes. It has my initials on the tag.
Was Sergeant Enright alone in the room with the deceased?
Yes.
And what did your subsequent investigation prove? Could anyone else have entered that room and fired the shot? Or could that shot have been fired from outside the room?
No. Neither could have been possible.
People rest, Your Honor.
The witness may step down. Does the defense wish to present any witnesses at this hearing?
No, Your Honor. Not at this time.
Then I order Charles Enright remanded to court for trial on the 12th day of March, 1973.
Your Honor, what about bail?
The evidence being as strong as it is, I shall have to reconsider whether bail will continue. We will speak in chambers later.
It's not fair. It's just not fair that Sergeant Enright should be in jail. What did the judge think? That he was going to run away?
Well, you can't say the good sergeant didn't know what the consequences would be when he shot her. Oh, I'm not condemning him. She probably had it coming. I just wish she'd done a better job of planning it, that's all.
Don't stand on ceremony, Mildred. Pour yourself a drink.
Well, maybe just a quick one. Take my mind off the spinach souffle. I always get so nervous waiting for it to rise.
Maybe I should go out and watch it. At least it would take my mind off of Sergeant Enright.
Well, at least with the souffle, there's some suspense involved. I mean, we all know Sergeant Enright did it, poor man.
Mildred, how can you say a thing like that?
Well, you caught him red-handed at it, didn't you? When Inspector Gerard had to investigate a locked room murder, there was nobody in the room, just the body. I mean, Sergeant Enright let you catch him at it.
Who's Inspector Gerard?
Oh, you know those ghastly murder mysteries that Mildred's always reading.
There is nothing ghastly about Inspector Gerard. Surely I've mentioned him to you, Commissioner. Lives alone with his faithful housekeeper, and maybe there's something going on between the two of them, but we're never quite sure.
Oh, of course I remember, Mildred. I can't imagine it slipping my mind.
Mildred, how can you read those things? Don't they give you nightmares?
No, the newspapers do. I mean, no offense to the Commissioner, but all those unsolved crimes.
Tell me, Mildred, in any of those books you read, does the faithful housekeeper ever get murdered?
Well, as a matter of fact, in The Rooster Cried Wolf, the upstairs maid was witness to a murder, and the chauffeur had to kill her to seal her lips forever.
I know the feeling.
Well, you see, in that one...
Mildred, you know, I'm getting a little nervous about that spinach souffle. Maybe you better go out and give it a check.
Okay. Maybe after dinner. Over a brandy. I'll tell you how Inspector Gerard solved his locked room murder.
I wonder if the good inspector ever resorts to locking his faithful housekeeper in the basement.
I don't know. A locked room murder. That's when no one's in the room but the victim and the door's locked, right?
Right, except in our case, it's a victim and someone who didn't do it, Charles Enright. If we could just get the sequence in a different order, we might be onto something.
You mean if what we saw and heard wasn't really what we saw and heard in the order that we saw and heard them?
You have a wonderful way of clarifying things, yeah.
Well, first we heard Monica arguing. Then we heard a shot. No, then we heard a scream, and then we heard a shot.
Then I broke into the room, and Charles Enright was standing with a gun in his hand.
Then you told me to call for a doctor, and I called for Dr. Thursby. He examined her, and he called for an ambulance.
The ambulance took her to a hospital where she died later on of a bullet wound.
This never gets us anywhere. It's a dead end every time. Poor Sergeant Enright.
Well, we know one thing. Monica's dead, and that means somebody wanted her dead.
Commissioner, I'm convinced that the hole in this dress was not made by a bullet, but by something that left gunpowder grains like a bullet. If you'll notice, a bullet fired into the fabric will leave a hole something of this nature, or perhaps this nature, or possibly this nature. I fired bullets from 12 different guns into the fabric, and not one bullet has left a hole that was jagged.
Very good. What do you think did make the hole?
Not a bullet.
What?
Well, whatever is not a bullet.
Well, what?
Hello, Mac.
Chapman.
Hi, Sarge.
Chapman.
Here are all the facts that we've been able to gather on the case so far. Maybe something in it may help.
Thanks.
But if ever I were handed an ironclad case, I'm afraid this is the one.
You should stop sounding quite so sure of yourself. Stand a better chance if we could locate this Dr. Thursby.
I've just added 6 extra investigators to the case. By the way, I recommended that Enright be released on bail pending trial. Maybe you can help.
Got the feeling I'm going to owe you a drink.
You know, this is going to be the first time I've ever won a case from you. I won't even feel like celebrating.
Don't worry. I'll think of something to keep you from marring your record.
Since we got nothing from the florist, the photographer, and the caterer, what do you hope to find here?
Anything. We'll settle for anything today.
Oh, yes, I handled the Fontaine wedding, and I am delighted that you were impressed enough to inquire, but then, of course, that's how I get most of my business.
Sorry, Mr. Davidson, but we're not here as customers.
Oh?
We're police.
Oh.
I'd like to talk to you about the Fontaine wedding.
Well, as a matter of fact, this is going to work out very well, gentlemen, because I have been wanting to talk to someone about that little affair myself. Would you honor me by coming this way, please? You see, the damage was unbelievable right through here, gentlemen. I haven't finished taking my inventory yet, but, well, as you can see, there were broken dishes and, well, there's your torn linen. And the insurance man was just here, and I showed him this, and he just couldn't believe it. Oh, they're going to pay all right, but they'll cancel my policy. You know that, don't you? Oh, and look. Gentlemen, this happens to be a first.
First what?
Well, a first for destroying pillows. A first place. Some fool must have been smoking cigars 2 at a time. I mean, just look at that hole right there.
It's on both sides.
Oh, sure. It's burned all the way through. And this is a feather pillow, the very best of down.
What's the damage?
Oh, on the Fontaine wedding, I'd say about several $100s. In fact, it's the last time I'm going to cater to the Irish. You're not Irish, are you?
I'm talking about the pillow.
Oh, the pillow is irreparable. I mean, it's a total loss.
I said how much?
How much? You want to buy it? Well, all right, $20. How about 20? I mean, as you can see, most of the down is still in it. Thank you, sir, very much. I couldn't interest you in a tablecloth, could I? I mean, at best I can see this would spend a couple of hours in the powder room, but if your hang-up is damaged goods, you might just love it. Oh, they're very strange people.
Good
gunpowder burns.
Let's hope so, or I'm out $20 for a $2 pillow. You know, Sergeant, I've got one of those very funny feelings.
Well, why don't you go your way? I'll go mine. Looking for me, Alex? Or are you way to target practice?
Think I'm looking for a chance to shoot Charlie, Commissioner? I've already had it. All I had to do was pull the trigger, and it would have been bye-bye Charlie.
But you didn't pull it.
He's still alive, isn't he?
Look, suppose I keep you informed, step by step, as this case progresses. In return, no vendetta against Charles Enright.
Sure. I give justice a chance, why not? But if I have to, I'll also give it a helping hand.
You were absolutely correct, sir. A bullet was fired into this pillow.
Which explains how they could have gotten the bullet out of Enright's gun.
Right, Commissioner. The gunpowder burns on the pillow you brought in match almost perfectly with the second pillow. Approximately the same residue on each.
Good work, Sykes.
Thank you, sir. I went to the rental place myself, for the second pillow. I wanted to buy it, of course, but the guy there said, no, we don't sell them, we only rent them. I said, well, that's okay, but you're not going to be too happy with it when I bring it back. And he said, well, if they're not happy with it when you bring it back, you're going to have to pay for it. I said, that's what I'm trying to do right now. And he said, nope, we only rent them. Got a receipt here somewhere for it. I don't know if I don't find that receipt, I'm not going to get my deposit back from that guy. Unless you'll vouch for me.
Mac, I'm afraid I still have a pretty strong case.
Not at all. The bullet in the pillow proves somebody wanted to frame Enright. I thought they were going to fix it.
If that bullet had been put in another gun and fired, it would have changed the ballistics markings. Now, how could they avoid being changed?
Well, now there's progress for you. You're asking questions now instead of providing all the answers.
It's because I've got an awful lot of questions.
And I'm convinced the answers are somewhere in Monica's past.
You may be right, but most of her past is in Hollywood.
Commissioner, I have your reservations. Your flight to Los Angeles leaves at 4:02.
Thank you.
Do you know what just finally dawned on me? If somebody wanted to kill Monica, then why did they wait until she was in a room with Sergeant Enright, a police officer?
You mean someone wanted to implicate him?
Well, that would mean that the motive wasn't just to kill Monica, but to try and destroy Sergeant Enright.
I got a puzzle for you. Suppose someone got a bullet out of Enright's gun and killed Monica with it.
How could they do that without changing the ballistic markings?
You sound like Chapman. Now, there are many ways it could be done, but what I don't understand is how it could be done in front of a smart professional officer like Sergeant Enright and with no one else in the room. See if you can figure that out while I'm away, okay?
Okay. If I get it, I'll call you collect. I'm gonna miss you.
Wasn't necessary to get a court order, Commissioner. I'm only too glad to cooperate.
Thank you.
Monica Fontaine's hatred of her husband was extreme and unreasonable. She blamed him for everything. Her failure as an actress, her breakdown, even her unsuccessful love affairs. Scotch, Commissioner?
Well, thank you.
Over the last couple of years, her hatred of him became an obsession.
Were you able to help her any?
Not really, because she didn't really want help. She came to me to avoid being locked up in a mental institution again. She feared that more than anything. She blamed it on her husband. Her fantasy was that someday he'd be punished as much as she felt she had been. Sorry, there's no eyes.
Well, that's all right. Was he the only one she wanted to see punished, or were there others?
Oh, yes. She wanted to hurt in some way any man she'd ever been in contact with. She'd been a patient with me for about 3 years. She blackmailed a producer into paying for the sessions. Seemed to enjoy having blackmailed him. Gave her a feeling of power.
Then there might well be someone in this file who wanted her dead.
Possibly. But why go to the trouble of killing her? She had less than 6 months to live anyway. Cancer. I see you didn't know that.
No. Doctor, if she were dying, would it be possible for her to plan her own death and also use it to destroy her ex-husband?
Yes, she was capable of that. In fact, it would fit into her neurotic pattern rather well.
All right, cut. Print it. All right, let's move in for the close-ups.
Mr. Seaton, this is Stuart McMillan, police commissioner from San Francisco. Mr. McMillan, George Seaton.
How do you do, sir?
Hello, Commissioner.
I appreciate you taking the time, Mr. Seaton.
Oh, not at all. It's always a pleasure to have a little law and order on the set.
Yes, I was watching your shootout. What's the name of the film?
Showdown.
Well, it looks like the real thing. Except, of course, in my business, they don't usually get up again.
Yes, but directing a Western's a bit like playing God. You keep bringing them back to life. And nothing brings an actor back to life faster than a call for a close-up.
Well, how do you make it look like a man's been hit by a bullet?
Well, they're tiny explosive charges that are fitted under the actor's clothes. They explode outward, and this helps to prevent any body burns. And a small pouch of fake blood is released by the explosion. It looks fatal, but nobody gets hurt.
I think I know of a case where someone did. Could I talk to your special effects man, Whitey Dobson, for a moment?
Well, of course. Whitey! Whitey, come here. Whitey, this is Commissioner McMillan from San Francisco. He'd like to ask you a few questions and find out how you do it. Now, if you'll excuse me, Commissioner, I've got some work to do over here.
Thank you, Mr. Seaton.
What can I do for you, Commissioner? You want to see a few tricks?
No, first I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, Whitey. Did you ever know Monica Fontaine?
Monica? Oh, yeah, I know her.
Would you mind telling me a little bit about her?
Well, I haven't seen Monica in about 5 years now. When she first come out here, well, she couldn't get a job as an actress. I got a job as a stunt girl. I taught her the whole business. After she learned everything I could teach her, why, she dumped me.
What was she like?
Oh, she was mean. Violent. Why, she almost brained me one time. Oh, if Monica hated you, look out. Me, I wasn't important enough for her to hate. She wasn't even blackmailing me.
Quiet, please. This is a take.
Excuse me, I had to shoot a man.
Roll 'em.
All ready? Action! All right, cut it, print it.
Whitey, would it be possible for a man to set the detonator off himself instead of you having to do it from here?
Why, sure. We rig self-detonators on actors all the time.
Well, how would you set it off?
Well, the most common way is to rig it so he just raises his hands, you know?
Yes, she raised her hands. In fact, that's why I thought that somebody else had just come into the room.
Then that's how she detonated it.
But, Mac, she was shot.
With a bullet from my gun.
Suppose that came later. Suppose the initial gunshot, the one in the locked room, was fake. Which is, of course, the only way it could have happened if the good sergeant had his gun in his holster at the time. Then, after faking the gunshot, Monica was examined by the only doctor in attendance. A doctor she brought with her for that very purpose.
But what about the wiring she would have had to wear to fake a gunshot? Nothing was found at the hospital.
Because nothing was on her by the time she got to the hospital. Dr. Thursby removed all the wiring in the ambulance and stashed it in his medical bag.
Then she had to be killed in the ambulance.
And there goes your theory, Mac. Poof. Because if we follow your theory to its logical conclusion, the only place that bullet could have been introduced was in the ambulance, right?
Right.
Now, you're telling me that she was shot in the ambulance with Enright's gun, which by then was already in your possession, which might explain why the ambulance attendants didn't hear the shot.
She wasn't killed by Enright's gun. She was killed by a bullet from Enright's gun, which was obtained by firing the gun into that pillow.
What kind of a weapon was used to fire the bullet into her body? The grooves on the bullet indicate beyond a doubt that they were fired only from Enright's gun.
I don't know how it was done yet, but I'm convinced the bullet from Enright's gun was fired in that ambulance.
All right. Even if I go along with that, which I don't, you still haven't explained how they got the gun. The sergeant himself says it was never out of his possession.
I'll prove it was out of his possession once we find Thursby.
We've looked everywhere. There just isn't any Dr. Thursby.
Right. And I doubt if his name is Thursby, and I doubt if he's even a doctor.
Well, then we'll never find him.
Now, what do we know about him?
Nothing.
Wrong. We know Monica had to have an accomplice for her to carry out her plan.
You mean somebody to pose as a doctor?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, maybe the man's an actor.
No, I doubt that. Taking the gun out of a police sergeant's holster isn't that easy. Something that requires a very special talent.
Welcome, Commissioner. You can have your choice of tables at this hour.
I'm not here to eat, Alonzo. I need your help.
Anytime. You know that. I owe you one. In fact, I owe you two.
Who's the best finger man in this part of the country? Make it the whole country.
Hi, Commissioner. I have no idea. I've been out of the business a long time. Now, if I could help you, I would. You know that.
Good. Try to keep that in mind when you look at this picture.
I really wish I could help you. But you know how it is with pictures. They all look alike.
Yeah. Well, what about this picture? Make it any easier? It's one of your favorites, isn't it?
Benjamin Franklin. That's a sure good likeness.
And what about the other fella?
His name is Thompson, but he's legit now. He's been out of the business as long as I have.
Where is he?
Vegas, probably. The last thing I heard was that he had an act there. Small time, but it keeps him alive.
Thank you, Alonzo. You just helped save a man's life.
Anything for a pal.
And Ben Franklin.
Is this yours? Yes, your wallet, sir. Yes. And your keys? Oh, keys. Say, is this your glass case here? That's right. Uh-huh. One more thing. Is this your handkerchief? What a sweet-smelling one, huh? All right, sir, you can take your seat now, if you think it's still there. Did you forget these, sir? Huh? Here, pull up your pants. You look like a slob. Let's take this off. Here, I'll hook you with your suspenders. That's all right. Here, pull up your pants, for heaven's sake. You're in public. I'll hook you with your suspenders. You put on the long ones, I'll put on the short ones. There we go. All right, reach right over there. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Yes. Put your jacket on. We'll have you back to your table in an hour and a half. All right. There we are. All right. Uh-oh. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking what they're thinking. You're thinking I took your wallet again. Is that right, sir? Is it still there?
Yes, it seems to be, yeah.
Everything seems to be in its proper place.
Same place, right, yeah.
All right. Now, I haven't taken anything at all. Absolutely nothing this time.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's good. Are you absolutely sure, sir?
I'm positive.
All right. Well, then, on your way out, will you please try to avoid the maitre d'? You see, we have a rule here about wearing your undershorts at all times. All right. Let's have a hand for our volunteer. They've been a real sport. All right, now, one more volunteer, if you don't mind. Well, here's an eager customer. I haven't even said what I want you to volunteer for.
I was wondering if you could remove this gun from its holster without my knowing about it.
Well, we're a little late, folks. They'll be dancing in the parking lot.
I knew you'd figure it out. I told her we'd never get away with it. But she threatened to expose me. That's why I did it. Monica knew all about my past. I told her she was crazy. Our plan was just nuts. I wanted no part of it. But she insisted. She said if I didn't help her, that she'd go to the Vegas authorities. She'd tell them everything she knew about me. I'd never work again.
How did you shoot her? The marks on the bullet are from Enright's gun.
Fired the bullet from a zip gun. It has a smooth barrel. It doesn't leave any marks in the bullet.
Did you have to kill her?
I didn't kill her. I just held the gun. She pulled the trigger herself. That's how much she hated you.
imagine hating someone so much that you'd plan your own murder just to frame them?
No. I can imagine loving someone so much that you'd die to save them. I guess that marriage just brings out the worst or the best in people.
Sometimes both at the same time. Did I ever tell you about my first husband?
First husband? I never knew about any husband.
What, you know you believed in marriage, Mildred?
I believe in anything, Commissioner, as long as it's with the right man.
Mildred, are you serious about having been married? You never mentioned it.
Everybody's entitled to a past, Mrs. McMillan.
Well, I hope my past is behind me.
Well, I hope mine's still ahead of me.
Corn and potatoes. That's my favorite combination.
I figured it'd be the right thing for a working man, especially since Mrs. McMillan mentioned that the commissioner mentioned that you mentioned it was your favorite combination. Believe me, I would never have thought of it on my own.
Well, I haven't had a banquet like this since, since...
Since the last time.
Yeah. And speaking of corn, I'd just like to say... Well, I'd like to say that friends who'd stick with a man through all of this...
Well, Sergeant, why wouldn't we? Well, it never entered our minds that you were guilty.
Well, I just can't help thinking of where I'd be right now without you, and
Speaking of corn, Sergeant, why not eat it before it gets cold?